Hey, what's going on, guys? Xbox All on channel, host Sig of Ever here. Let me clear my throat a little bit. Also, let me apologize right now if there's any ambient noises that you might hear in the background. There's some stuff going on in my neighborhood. Hopefully, nothing, no loud trucks or anything will drive by, no fireworks will go off. Um, Usually, when I do it this time of night, it's not too bad, but every once in a while, you hear a dog barking or somebody arguing. It's just the way it is where I live. So. But I wanted to actually start doing more videos on my channel. I do a lot of the live streaming and stuff like that because it's a little bit easier. Of course, it's faster. Sometimes when I'm doing content for my channel, it's not planned. I'm trying to get better at that. And just as a reminder, tomorrow we'll be having the excuse me, guys, the Wrecking Crew podcast will be going live. Sure, I'll try and get as many of the guys as possible. Because I have the package on StreamYard where I can have up to 10 people, I believe. So I'm going to send the invite out to everybody. Hopefully, people can join. You guys know the way my podcasts are, though, they tend to run a little bit long. And the lineup changes quite regularly, which I find interesting. For me, man, like I tell you guys, it's a podcast, but it's basically like the old Google Hangouts, just to give you guys a heads up if you never listened to one of my podcasts and you plan to tune in tomorrow, man. I just want to let you guys know. We can start off with maybe just one or two guys, have about seven in there, and then run for 4 hours long, and then have finish up with me and somebody else. And by that time, we run a gamut of a lot of different people. And I'm gonna keep it that way, man, because I like the variety of opinions and stuff that we talk about. I could probably keep it a little bit more focused. I'll try and do that. But sometimes, man, the guys in the group, man, they just be dropping knowledge or just be having a good time. Um, and then some of the stuff I'm interested in, even if we go off script, the stuff that they're talking about is interesting to me. Just like last night, we had a podcast lasted pretty long, and the purpose of the podcast is basically to talk about what was going on with AKB. And for me personally, with Activision King Blizzard deal, even though Microsoft had a minor setback, you see people online saying that it's dead, the deal's dead, people giving all their comments, man, especially the haters out there. I mean, if you guys are an Xbox guy, bleed green, part for the course, right? This shouldn't be surprising to you, right? It's part of the territory. It's just the way it is, part of the console war. Um, but there's a lot of people talking trash, so I wanted to do that just to say for myself personally, and I've said it on my channel before on other podcasts and videos that I've done, is that I've absolutely loved every single second of the AKB deal, just for the simple fact that it exposes a lot of people both on the Sony side and the Xbox side, in the corporate side of the gaming industry, and all the politics that are involved in it, especially the politics. That's what I found to be the most interesting because I follow politics. In fact, I said some stuff last night on the podcast, maybe a little bit too political, but like I said on my podcast, man, I'm gonna share my opinions. Some people like it, some people don't. You have the choice to tune in or tune out. It's fine. Yeah, I'm not gonna get offended, dude. I'm from a different generation. Stuff don't easily offend me. And and if other people disagree, they can have their viewpoints as well, man. We've done that on my channel too, a couple times. But with the AKB deal, man, I'm all for it, man. I've loved every single second of it. And like I said, even though Microsoft had a minor setback with the ruling from the CMA, dude, I'm still all in because this stuff is interesting to me, man. That's just the kind of person I am. I like seeing all the little stuff that's going on in the background, all the fine details, right? The minutia. When it comes to all the legalese and all that kind of stuff. Not too hardcore, but it's just interesting to me. I just like to see stuff play out, and I like to look at, like I say this all the time, and I like to see the machinations that goes on in the background and in the foreground. Man, you've seen a lot of stuff coming to the top that and as far as the gaming industry is concerned, especially amongst the power players, that never really gets discussed, man. But with Sony losing their mind over this Activision deal and Microsoft purchasing AKB, I mean, they went full bore, dude. They put it all out on the table. Jim Ryan was flying all over the place. He was crying all over the place, and he basically was telling people what was on his mind and where Sony stands, right? And Microsoft has been trying to play nice. They've been trying to you know, cater to the regulators. And of course, you guys know my opinions on the regulators and stuff like that. Not a game plan I would have gone with, but I've learned to trust Microsoft. right? Just for the simple fact that they've never really disappointed me, and they give me everything I like as both a consumer as a fan. So I give them kind of a lot of leeway when it comes to some of the stuff they do and the way they conduct business. But the reason I'm doing this video is because I was really pleasantly surprised because we did the podcast last night. And again, great podcast. Do shout out to everybody that joined me, man. Brother Hebot, Sega Man even jumped in. Thank you, brother. I'm in the middle of watching your podcast right now, but I wanted to do this one, and I got to hit the bed. But what I'll do, dude, is I'll catch up on it tomorrow. I watched Hebot's earlier today, and that one was really good. Unlimited. I was surprised he didn't do a unlimited podcast. Maybe he'll do one tomorrow. But he was on the podcast last night. Of course, Dea, First Lady of Chat. She's awesome. And then the realist hopped in there. And hopefully I'm not forgetting, but I think I covered everybody that was in the podcast itself. And of course, the chat, man. Thank you guys for showing up. Really appreciate that. As always, man, you guys, the comments that they have, dude, how in touch they are with everything that's going on. It just makes the podcast a whole lot more informative and definitely entertaining, man. These guys are some of the best people in the chat, and I appreciate them stopping by. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that was being said. In fact, Dea and Realist just went off on this whole tangent talking about anime, and I'm a huge anime fan myself, so that's the way my podcast goes sometimes. And I'll try and focus it a little bit more, but to be honest with you, I just like listening to everybody and getting different opinions, right? And again, going back to what the video here, man, shots fired. Because after we did the podcast, it's a little late for most people. I had to wind up some stuff, and I just went to bed because I had to work the next day. And the very first thing I see in the morning, man, when I'm checking my email and the news and everything, just to clear out the, to take care of the administrative tasks in my personal life, get that out of the way, make sure I'm not missing anything. This news drops of the president of Microsoft, who is Brad Smith. So if you guys are thinking Satya Nadella is the actual CEO, right, of Microsoft. Brad Smith is the president of the company, and of course Phil Spencer is the head of games, Microsoft Games. That's the pecking order in a sense. Though Phil actually answers directly to Satya. I'm pretty sure that he has to, like any other company, man. These guys have to cross-pollinate from time to time, sitting on meetings, let each other know what's going on, so that they can have each other's back, as we can see with this purchase that Microsoft is trying to do. And with the CMA's ruling, which I do agree with a lot of the analysts that are out there, a lot of the professional people within the industry, man, there was a lot of shock of what the CMA's decision was. I know a lot of people in the Xbox community was taken aback a little bit. For me, it kind of surprised me. It kind of did surprise me because I was expecting it to go through. But after they had given their ruling, it didn't surprise me because, like I said, I keep up with a lot of politics. Man, politics, as they say, politics is downstream of culture. And if you're a pop culture guy, especially in this day and age, there was a time that you could like read a comic book, or you could go watch a movie, or listen to some music, listen to your favorite artist, or play a video game. And you didn't have to worry about it. In fact, a lot of this stuff was escapism in its purest form. And so you didn't have to deal with the realities of what was going on in the world, and you could just escape by just taking like maybe a couple hours a day, enjoying something that you like, your hobby, on whatever type of genre you were into, right? But in this day and age, you just can't do that. Just politics is involved in everything, and video games are no less. It's actually getting a little bit more supercharged, and this it's not as bad as the entertainment industry. The entertainment industry is so politicized that everything's absolute trash. That's why I thought it was funny that Dea and Realist started going off about anime and stuff. I added my comment. It's one of the reasons I watch anime and Korean dramas, or a lot of content that's made overseas, is because they remind me of what Hollywood was like and our entertainment industry, whether it be TV and movies. They actually captured the magic that we had back in the 80s and 90s and even the 70s. Some of the stuff that they're producing, man. If you guys go on Netflix, dude, just do a quick type in of Korean dramas, man. There's a lot of stuff that's there. A lot of the stuff that's recommended is worth watching. I'm going to do podcasts on pop culture. I know I've been saying that, but I want to bring that back because I do want to talk about it. And I'll give my recommendations as well if you guys really want to know. If you guys are like me and you get tired of just really bad, not just politics, but just really bad storytelling, I say this all the time. It just strikes me that a lot of the people making the content because they're younger than me, but it just seems like they've never read any books. A lot of the stuff that they have comes from a lack of discovery, come a lack of wonderment, that they've never had any exposure to specific things. And even when I talk to my kids sometimes, like classical literature, I didn't realize how much I read until I had kids. And the classical literature and stuff like that. I mean, people complained about it when I was growing up, but it was still kind of the standards. It was a little. It still was the standard. But nowadays, man, I mean, kids just have no appreciation for the finer arts, which is kind of sad because this is what a lot of our Western culture is based on. So sorry to get off on that tangent, but as far as it comes to the AKB deal, I checked the news, and the first thing I saw was Brad Smith, man, and he went. I was surprised. Right, as you can see here, Microsoft slams British regulators' block of 69 billion Activision acquisition. Now, depending on what time of the day you read the news, right, and then in the morning it was a little bit like just the statement that he had. Some people was talking about it in negative, but most people was like, yeah, dude, I mean, nobody had a problem with what he was saying. But as the day moved on, right, and other people got a hold of it, and then there's reaction from the fans or from the people who are just regular gamers, right? It starts to go viral a little bit. And then, of course, the headlines start to change. Right? In the morning, it started him just making a statement. At the very least, um, standing up basically for Microsoft. And then by the end of the evening, it's just like my Brad Smith threatening UK government and all this kind of stuff. Um, but the thing that blew me away is that he actually did this, right? And this is what guys like myself, E-Rock, Hebot, um, Sega Man, a lot of the guys in our core group that talk about it all the time, man, is Microsoft actually standing up for themselves. And this is one of those times that they've done that. I did a tweet, I should have captured it and shared it with you guys, where I want Microsoft to take the gloves off. I've been wanting them to go scorched earth for a long time. I've kind of drawn back a little bit on that just because the stuff that Phil Spencer is doing, because they've been consistent and they've been successful, I can't really say anything about it. I still have my opinion. I still believe that's the way they should go. Some of the times, right? But I can't argue with their success. And like I said, dude, I'm happy as an Xbox guy. I said that in the podcast last night, dude. I don't play politics when it comes to gaming as far as my console of choice. I mean, we discuss it, you get into it, how's it going to affect you, how it's going to affect possibly your ecosystem. But for me, my enjoyment from video games doesn't come from just one or specific things. I chose to be on Xbox for specific reasons. And if they don't deliver what I want, then I'll just step, right? But they're delivering everything that I want. So that's why I don't have those type of issues, right? But it was just nice to see, again, Microsoft's president actually saying stuff, man. And what he was talking specifically about, because I know Microsoft was disappointed, right? Because they dotted all their I's, crossed their T's, and laid everything out that they possibly could. Man, there was no wiggle room that they left the CMA um, to actually block the deal, man. And a lot of people were in agreement. And like I said, like top analysts, everybody. When I looked at it myself, I was like, yeah, this is solid. They addressed all the issues, and that's why the CMA actually went with the cloud thing, right? Because the cloud thing, right? The way they did the way they presented it with the cloud thing, it's like Microsoft really has, um, in a sense, Microsoft really has no way to kind of combat that because cloud is not really a thing, not in the terms um, that Microsoft can really explain or do anything about on their end, right? To some extent. Now, for me personally, like I said, dude, I had my picture on Twitter where I basically had Superman who got affected by red kryptonite, and if he has the Superman, he gets a little bit crazy when he gets red kryptonite, and that's what I want to see Microsoft do. And this was a really good first step, if I'm being honest with you guys. Man. I like what he said. I like that he's actually standing up for his company. Yeah, he had a little bit of anger. I would like to say righteous indignation, and rightfully so, right? Because, like I said, they crossed their T's, they dotted their I's, they addressed a lot of the issues that the CMA originally had. In fact, they did it so well. Like I said, a lot of people expected the deal to go through, and then at the 0 hour, man, the CMA just pulled the rug out from under everybody. Now, on the flip side, you have all the Sony guys celebrating, which is funny to me, right? Because every time they do this stuff, dude, they end up taking L's, right? There was a story where all the ponies were saying like there was people saying like people are leaving Microsoft, the studios, and some of the people didn't seem happy. They were disgruntled, man. And you're gonna have that in big corporations, especially corporations the size of Microsoft, with the amount of teams that they have now. So the ponies take that little narrative and they start running with it. And then Microsoft has their showcase. I think this was, if I remember correctly, it was in February, and they open up. And I don't know if they did this on purpose. I would have been happy if they did, but they basically opened up with a montage of all the teams that were going to presenting, man. And if you look at their offices, you look at the actual people in the video, just smiling. They look happy, right? You can tell the creativity, everything's there, man. The environment's good, and that basically just, the ponies had to take another L. And this is what they always do, right? Because they're emotional. That's the problem with the Sony guys. I mean, they're scum too. They're the most toxic, and I don't like. I said it all the time. I hate using that word toxic because I think it's overused all the time, or it's applied on people as to it's a word that's weaponized to apply to people so that you try and shut the person up if you can't debate them. But in every sense of the word, the way that it should be used, this is the Sony community, right? And they've been like this for years, man. They've been like this for the longest time, dude. And to be quite honest with you, I'm tired of them. They don't get under my skin just because I don't take them seriously. For a lot of times, where people see me like commenting on social media and stuff like that, and I don't get upset or I don't get mad or I don't go with the nuclear option of swearing or getting personal or just blocking somebody. It's because I don't have any respect for them at all. And for me to actually care about what you say, I have to respect you somewhat. This is why my circle of guys in the Xbox community is very small. And the funny thing is, like with some of the dudes, I don't even agree with them all the time on stuff, specifically on certain things. Like I'm pretty sure they see my politics, they don't agree with the stuff I do or how I vote, which is fine, right? But the thing is, we have respect for each other, so we can sit there, and even though we have these disagreements, man, like you'll see Bone and Erock go at it, or you know, me and Heba will talk about stuff and have different points of view. Um, but the thing is, because we respect each other, it'll never get to the point where it'll go out of control. Even if it's passionate, man, I always respect these dudes, man. And that's the difference, right? It's for me personally, it's not an emotionally charged thing. This is why it's so easy to piss off people on the Sony side, right? Because they're just in it because the bottom line, and this is why again why I love the AKB deal, and I said this last night in the podcast that we did. Um, it just exposes who they really are. First, showing the corporation that they're evil and they're greedy, and they don't care about anybody but themselves. Man, they don't care about the industry; it's just to care about their brand and the amount of money that they can make. And then their fans are the same way. The fans just care about the brand, and not the brand as in the gaming brand, dude. Just the brand and name. I say that stuff all the time, and these guys are brand gamers, dude. It's like a person who has a lot of money and just buys brand stuff just because they can. They don't really care for it, right? It's just like, okay, I'm gonna buy this. They might have a closet full of stuff from Coach and they don't even wear it, right? But because they love the brand or the idea of the brand, right? But they don't actually use the stuff, and that's how the Sony guys are now. They don't really play games. Most of these hardcore ponies, these guys don't play games, and then this is why they're such hypocrites, right? Because they'll always be hitting Microsoft on Microsoft not having like not having games. Then when Microsoft gets games or third party games and they try and work on it, right? Then the thing becomes Microsoft doesn't have any first party AAA titles, right? They're always moving like goalposts. But the irony of it all is that they don't actually have those type of games either. And the reason why I never sweated that, and even people on the Xbox side will come at me about that because I said, well, I don't care. I don't think that's what the industry is, right? Because they said I'm doing it just to defend Microsoft or Xbox, and I'm not holding their feet to the fire. These are usually the pony bots that say this kind of stuff, right? Because they end up exposing themselves, right? Because they're flip floppers, or because of their viewership and because they want clicks, or they're just ignorant. I mean, I'm sorry, dude. They're just not real gamers. And so for me, I'm like, one of the reasons why Microsoft probably never sweats that stuff is because they don't see the benefit of it. And this is why Microsoft had to create Game Pass, right? Because within Game Pass, they could say, okay, we see the benefit of a AAA first party title because that could draw subscribers to our service, right? Or even if we put it in there, right, we're not going to lose, like everybody's talking about on the front end about people buying. They're not getting that $60 or $70 on how much it costs day one. I hate to break it to you guys, most people don't buy it day one, right? For a lot of the sales that happen over time, it's very rare where you have like something like Hogwarts where people are buying it in the millions, or like a Fortnite or something like that. Well, I think Fortnite's free though. But there's certain games that do break that mold. For the most part, games really don't do that. especially AAA games. The AAA games are usually built as a certain type of game, right? Or the single player, like a lot of the stuff that Sony has, right? It's kind of built that way. And so, to me, Microsoft and like myself, right? This is the way I looked at it, right? I don't see the advantage of spending so much money on a AAA game, and then you don't make that turnaround, um, that money like right off the bat, right? Because like I said, dude, a lot of people don't buy the games either. They're like me; they have a lot of games in backlog, even though I'll buy games they want if I really like it. Um, or they just don't have the money, right? So most people will wait, dude. And most of the people that drive the industry are not hardcore gamers, right? So what's the point of making a AAA title and then you lose money, or you're not making any profit on it, right? Whereas opposed to what Microsoft has done, they've given us Game Pass at a low price, but because the subscription is, they get all these subscriptions of millions of people in there, right? It allows them to cover their bases as far as money, right? And it allows them also to invest in these studios, right? And that's why the AKB deal is so big, and that's why Sony wants to block it, right? Um, because they know, man, if this thing goes through, dude, that's just another revenue stream for Xbox, and Xbox has a lot of them right now, and that's the whole purpose of what they're doing with Game Pass, right? And trying to expand. Just a lot of people say, well, they're not doing well on consoles. Well, but they're doing well on PC. They're growing, right? And people are engaged. Right? For all those people that sit there and says, "Oh, engagement numbers mean nothing." Well, engagement numbers mean something if they're in your ecosystem, right? If you guys haven't noticed, and I'm pretty sure if you guys are hardcore Xbox, I'm not talking to you guys. I'm talking just to any normie that might listen to this video. Dude. The ecosystem is huge. I participate in the ecosystem, even to an extent where I think I'm getting something for free, which I'm really not. And that's the kicker, right? Microsoft has figured out a way for you to be involved in their store, for you to be involved in their services, as far as Game Pass, right, or Ultimate Game Pass, PC Game Pass, right? Their movies and TV, they could work on that a little bit. Even the streaming stuff they put in the ecosystem, and it's just to keep you there, and then to get you comfortable in there. And then what ends up happening is like since you're in there already, you tend to spend money, and you don't have to be buying a $70 game. You can be buying a $4.99 movie, right? It's basically a storefront that they're trying to push. I think they can actually take it to the next level. It's interesting to me because if you guys watch Power On, that documentary, I started watching again just because, because of all the crap that was going on online, dude. And I was just going in there sniping and trolling and stuff like that. Um, and there's really no positive Xbox news at all, if I'm being quite honest. And then if the guys aren't putting on any content, like I said, my circle is small. I really have nothing to watch. So what I ended up doing, man, I just ended up going up there and just rewatching that documentary. I love that documentary because not only is it about Xbox and it breaks that whole history of Xbox down, but it's just a well-made documentary, man. I'll put it on any level. I'll put it next to any other documentary that's on any other docuseries, and there's some good ones out there, man. But Microsoft, when they put their mind to it and they do stuff like that, that shows the quality that they can produce. And that's what they've been doing, man. This is another reason why ponies are so pissed off right now. Right? Just because Microsoft is basically putting high quality stuff out there. Right. And then hopefully this is the turning of the time. Now, like I said, I got up, I saw this news, and then Brad Smith was out there basically challenging the CMA, right? Telling them, dude, whatever whatever ruling that they had come up with, man, was wrong. Dude, it doesn't make any sense, right? And so the part that kind of irked everybody else, um, that irked everybody, was when he actually started getting into uh, the actual the UK, not just on the CMA side, but also their government, right? And if you guys know, Microsoft has their hands in a lot of stuff too. They're a big corporation, right? They're one of the biggest players in the tech realm, right? They do a lot of stuff, and I know this firsthand because of the job that I have, and let's just say the organization I work for, we use a lot of the Microsoft projects, and Microsoft has a lot of contracts with this organization I work with. I won't say what the organization is, but Microsoft has their hands in a lot of different stuff. And so Brad Smith, when he was talking about the ruling, basically called out the CMA, but then also the UK government, and that's what everybody's kind of talking about right now, right? And so it's funny to me because there's a lot of ponies trying to say he's crying like Jim Ryan. He's not even close, dude. He basically, it was a veiled. If I'm being honest, dude, it was kind of a veiled threat on the podcast last night. I do believe that Microsoft, they're not the person that'll walk up to you and punch you in the face. They're the person that'll do stuff behind the scenes with you, right? They'll try and coax you, and they'll try and find other ways to kind of get you to, um, go along with what they want, right? They don't, they're not the full frontal. But 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 they're also very passive aggressive, man. And right now, what you saw Brad Smith do, which I thought was absolutely 100% necessary, right? Because Microsoft has been trying to play nice with all these people. It's worked out in their favor sometimes, but it's not working out right now, right? And he let it be known to the UK government that, like, look, dude, this is a really bad look for you guys, right? In fact, I think his words were, I wish I could bring up his statement, but I can't. But he basically said, like, this is in his, I think it's like in the 40 years that we've done business. Is it 40 years? In the 40 years we've done business with here in Britain, this is probably the darkest day. Right? He didn't mince any words, man. I mean, he pretty much laid it on the table. It's just like, and then he basically called out the UK because I guess they had some kind of event, right? They're trying to push the UK as a hub for technological businesses. If you see everything that's going on in the US with our tech sector and how it's falling apart, right? Everybody knows about San Francisco and Silicon Valley and stuff like that. Well, a lot of those companies have left, and that whole area, man, is just priced out stuff. Our economy is doing badly, right? And it's doing badly because when companies start looking at every little nook and cranny and how they can cut costs, and then you see certain jobs going away. And the tech industry for the longest time, dude, they were untouchable, right? With all the type of investments they would get, dude, they could run roughshod any everybody. We all know about Google. How if you work at Google, you get free breakfast. They got daycare, dude. They got like these meditation pods and all that kind of stuff. All that stuff, we know about all that kind of stuff. That's why a lot of people wanted to work there. But somewhere along the line, dude, they kind of lost focus, in my opinion. And a lot of these tech people have. It's interesting to me that Microsoft always has been trying to find a way to reinvent themselves, and I think that's just in their DNA because of the way they started off, right? And so, you know, the tech sector right now, dude, is in flux, and I think it's great that the UK want to become a hub for tech industries, and I don't feel they need to like bow to anybody, right? But I do think Microsoft has a right as a person who's invested, right, in their sector, right, that does a lot of business and work with them, because yes, Microsoft makes money off of the countries, and not just the UK, there's even in the US, right? I mean, everywhere, right? But on the flip side, people use their products and stuff like that to make their money and make their profits, right? And that's why it's come intertwined. I'm not a globalist by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm also a person like, look, that's the reality. You're living in a global economy, right? I don't want you to stuff your ideology down my throat. I'm not a communist, right? I believe in capitalism and stuff like that if it's done properly, right? Where there's winners and losers, right? There's consequences for actions, right? I don't believe in crony capitalism, right? And in all fairness, man, Microsoft has been trying to meet a lot of people halfway. This is not the Microsoft of old, right? This is a new Microsoft. I miss the Microsoft of old. Like I said, I was just saying that I want them to go scorched earth on some of these guys, especially when they're getting taken advantage of. But for the most part, when they've been doing this, playing a nice role, it's been working out for them. Because honestly, I'm not saying this because I'm just an Xbox guy, and I follow Microsoft, but I'm not on that level of Microsoft that other people are. But if you notice what they've been doing, man, action speaks louder than words, and they've been bending over backwards, not just for this deal, but everything when it comes to gaming, man. They try to build partnerships, they try to work with people, and that's why they keep on getting burned. Um, but this is probably the first time I've seen them kind of stand up for themselves, right? Because it is frustrating, right? And 100%, there's nothing wrong with this. If you have all these guys out there, like in the media and stuff, saying, like they're saying, like, oh, the nice car image is shattered, right? And I'm like, dude, you can only take so much, right? Stand up for yourself, stand up for your company, especially if you're doing a lot of good work and a lot of good stuff. And I know they're doing good stuff because I don't like that stuff that they did. Look, dude, I'm not a greeny person, dude. I'm not a big proponent of diversity, right, on the level that these people want it to be, just because of the simple fact that I don't think they understand what diversity is. I live in Hawaii, dude. We are the most diverse state in this nation. And I can tell you from experience, man, diversity can be good, but it also can be bad, right? A lot of people, when you think of diversity, they equate it with equality and all this kind of stuff. Microsoft is that company, man. You guys know, dude, every month, dude, whatever cause, dude, they're always doing stuff. It's kind of funny because they did a Polynesian Asian Pacific Islander thing, man, And it was funny to me just because their heart's in the right place, man. But you just some of the stuff they were doing has nothing to do. Like I'm Polynesian, it has nothing to do with my culture. But I'm like, look, I understand how you guys are. That is Microsoft. So that's why I tell you that story because I can tell you that they are the good guys a lot of the times, right? But they are passive aggressive, man, and they show their little dark side every once in a while. I want to say that this is, dude, for me, dude, this is just straight up letting them know, look, we're standing up for ourselves now. Right? We want to work with you guys. We've tried to work with you guys. This deal is going to go through, the hell or high water. And right now, I believe they're looking at it like, dude, look, they're frustrated, dude, and rightfully so, man. To do all the stuff that they've done, to address all the issues, to actually take the time, money, and energy to do this kind of stuff, and just to be basically, dude, they just got screwed. Like they were just getting pulled along this whole time. And of course, the rumblings of, I'm pretty sure Sony has Jim Ryan has been working with the CMA specifically, just because there's so much of their concerns that are tailored towards Sony. That's why everybody's like, are they defending Sony? Yeah, they're defending Sony. And on the flip side, Bobby Kotick was talking about how active or CMA and FTC has been communicating with each other. They actually met 1 week before that, right? And it's my understanding that she might call them the night before Unicon, right? Trying to throw some monkey wrench. That wouldn't surprise me either. But regardless of all this kind of stuff, man, to me the ball is in Microsoft court. So I'm discussing this now, shots fired, because this is what I like to see from Microsoft, and it's about time. And it's not even bad, dude. I mean, for me personally, I want to see Sony die. I want them gone, dude. I'm not talking about just the PlayStation. I mean, just the company. Dude, I'm just tired of them, dude. I'm tired of them. I'm tired of their fan base. Dude, they bring nothing to the table anymore. At one time, they used to dominate this industry as far as well, electronics, right? They're a big player. They were huge back in the day, man. I mean, if you guys are as old as me and then you guys are Sega fans from back in the day, you guys know how it was with Sony, dude. They were the big giant. Like how Microsoft is the 1,000 pound elephant in the room, man. This is what Sony was back in the '90s. Man. They were huge, and they had money to burn. This is why and this is why they came up with some of the games. Like they would think outside the box and they do something different. They just had that kind of money, right? They were artsy back then, dude. They did have indie stuff, right? They could fall back on their movies and their electronics, dude, because their brand was so strong. But it's not that same Sony anymore. And you see them panicking, and this is why we have this type of situation we're in now. Instead of just letting everything play out, instead of just trying to innovate on their end, they're trying to kill innovation. This is why don't ever listen to ponies. They say that Microsoft is like this, the Series S is holding us back. The whole of Sony is holding gaming back with their archaic business practices, the crap they were doing with AKB deal. Even before that, dude, all the third party stuff, which no surprise to me, man. I mean, they're like I said, they're evil. This is the kind they'll do any kind of tactics to be on top, right? And so everything that Sony does through their business model, they're holding the gaming back. And there's some fear with that, man, because they might not be able to adapt, right? And what else are they gonna do, dude? This is not gonna stay the same. Even if Microsoft wasn't even a player, dude, things are changing, right? And if you're the market leader in consoles, man, you should be leading the way, right? But they're not leading the way. They're trying to hold everybody back. Right? And this is why they fight so strongly to block this deal, man, because they see the writing on the wall, man, and they don't want to go. But like I said, it's not what is whether Microsoft does it or not. They're going to do it, right? It's like somebody else is going to come and fill that gap and push forward. The progress is going to happen. Time will not stand still for them. And they gotta get on the ball with that, dude. I mean, I don't care if they do or not because personally, right? I don't care if they do or not because like I said, I don't care if I walk into Best Buy, I don't see another Sony TV, dude. I supported that company for years, dude, buying only their brand because they have the best brand, right? And I would just support Sony all the time. But if I went into Best Buy and their TVs are gone and I didn't see their cameras or no PlayStation stuff like that, dude, I wouldn't skip a beat, right? Because I'm already in other people's ecosystems. Most of the stuff I buy right now, as far as the TV, if it's not a Samsung, it's a TCL, right? If I'm going to spend money, I spend it on the higher end with the Samsung. I like their quality and the things they're doing. OLED is beginning to appeal to me a little bit more. LG, um, but maybe I'm stuck, dude. LG is Lucky Gold Star, man. I remember Lucky Gold Star from back in the day. It's like if Yugo, the car company Yugo came up with the Yugo version that was like everybody wanted. That's what I see with LG, and they have their TVs are awesome. I'm not saying that they're not, but I'm just saying, right? So I usually stick with the Samsung TCL because I either play high low, right? Because with the Samsung, you get the high quality. That's the one that we'll use for to watch certain movies, or get our 4K kick and all this kind of stuff. Streaming Netflix and 4K and all that stuff, right? But with the TCL, dude, it's like more bang for your buck, and the quality of TCL is really good. I've been impressed with it for a long time. I used to looking at Hisense. Hisense kind of fell off for me. TCL took that spot because you just can't compare to their prices, especially if you have multiple TVs in your house. Right? That's a good option. Um, but that again, that's not Sony. This is not the same Sony, guys. Right? And this is why these people. It's basically what they are right now. Is like they're animal in a trap, right? And they're fighting, right? Like say you see an animal stuck in a trap, and then you try to go to help them, and they're all defensive, right? You trying to help them, you can't help them, but they don't trust you. They don't know. I mean, they're just so caught up in trying to escape and what could happen to them and stuff like that. There's some fear in there as well. Um, but that's what it is with these Sony guys, dude. This is why they're acting the way they are, dude. But at some point in time, what are they going to do? Are they going to are they going to do the right thing, right, and move forward, or are they going to like chew their arm off to get out of that trap? That's what they're basically doing right now. So anyway, man, just wanted to talk about this a little bit too because I was really I was surprised, and it was a good surprise, and it's something that I want to encourage Microsoft to do. Now, look, I don't want them to go full Darth Maul, man, go full Sith, dude. I mean, even the Jedi has little flashes of darkness, dark side, and stuff like that. But be measured, of course. But hopefully, this is a sign of things to come, man, because people are fighting tooth and nail. Dude, they're trying to take you out, man. You're gonna have to punch. You're gonna have to punch some people in the face. That's just the way it is, man. You tried to do the peace treaty. Like they're stabbing you in the back, dude. You tried to do contracts with these guys. You tried to do everything you could, man, and they just kept on screwing you over. And they basically the last straw. They told you to your face, right? And which people like that tend to do. They just basically told you to the face, right? Like this is what we want. We don't want this to go through. We don't want anything. We just don't want it to go through. So the battlefield is set, man. There's no black. There's no shades of gray, man. It's black and white. So if I ran Microsoft, man, I would be doing everything in my power just to end Sony. And that's just that I have biases and stuff like that, but just as a company, man, like I said, to me they bring nothing to the table. All the stuff that they do is keeping us stuck, right? Microsoft is with the Xbox Series X, with their ecosystem, is the premier console with the premier content, right? ID the Xbox is untouchable, Game Pass service is untouchable. They bought studios for the AAA games. That okay, great, as long as I get content for Game Pass, and they might do some great IPs, right? you know, that's fine. I didn't put the same onus on AAA titles that other people did. But if they give me a good game, I'm fine with that. They're trying to reach out to Japan. Could care less if we get Final Fantasy. And Final Fantasy can stay on PlayStation get by Square Enix. See, then that's what irks me about this AKB deal, man, because I don't care that Sony does all that stuff. I'm being honest, guys. I don't care that Sony does that kind of stuff. I have a kind of a righteous indignation about what they're doing, because like the hypocrisy and the lying and the dishonesty. Now that's the stuff that bothers me, that they do that. But like if they keep Final Fantasy on their console, more power to them, dude. Right? It's just I don't. We have so much stuff on Xbox, right? And again, I'll be honest. I'm not a big Final Fantasy fan. I played a couple of the games. They're fun, right? I enjoyed it for that time. But I'm not going to be beating anybody's door down just to get the new Final Fantasy or whatever Square Enix does, right? I like the Octopath Traveler. I think that's an awesome game. But I think Square Enix did it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, I like the Octopath Traveler, man. I think it's a good thing. But now we got Euridian Chronicles now on our side, right? And then I'm hopefully that waiting for Microsoft to drop the bomb that they're going to pick up Sega. Man, if they get Sega, dude, I want to see some of those old IPs, man. I want them to relaunch Shining Force, dude. There's just so much content out there, and Microsoft has the ability to start applying their influence and especially their money to try and get some stuff to get this content right, where none of this stuff relying on Japan won't matter. Only thing you rely on them is whoever's working, your studios that you have that are working for you, right? They're flipping the script, man, because these people are not been forthcoming when it comes to Microsoft reaching out to them, um, and Microsoft going that extra effort. And that's why Microsoft is doing what they're doing. And I support it 100%, dude. They want to buy EA, that would be awesome. Too. They buy a bunch of whatever, Take Two, all that stuff. Right? And that's another thing with this Activision deal, right? This and another reason why I applaud this Brad Smith for coming out like this, because the bottom line, dude, this is going to set a precedent. That's another big thing with this, right? First tech versus big government, right? And then if and me being an Xbox guy, and I hate government, right? I believe in limited government. The smaller the government, the better. Um, the more local the government, the better, right? I don't like big federal government. We should move all this stuff back to the states, right? Because in that sense, when stuff that you don't like and stuff that goes down incorrectly, if it's on the state level, it affects you more. It'll wake you up, and another thing you can do, you're more apt to do something about it. On the federal level, if you guys notice, like with the whole FTC thing, you hear these guys talking about regulations on Microsoft and about the gaming industry. They have no clue what they're talking about. And I know I see it in the comment section. Some of the stuff is absolutely ludicrous. And then you see people comment on Twitter. They're like, "Oh, dude, just like these guys don't know anything about gaming." I was like, "Dude, not only they don't know anything about gaming, right? They don't know anything about anything. Most of these people, man, like some of them got degrees and stuff like that, right? Just because you have a degree, man, doesn't make you wise, dude. You can be intelligent, right? You can probably write a good dissertation. You can probably, you know the law, you know the lingo. You can write something down on paper, and that's pretty awesome, dude. But when you watch these guys and you listen to them, it's just like the difference between book smart and street smart. I don't want to take away anything from their accolades, but it's basically when you're looking at Washington D.C., man, it's just basically one big echo chamber, right? And everybody's in there. I mean, again, this is one of the problems with government being so big, man. It's just they're basically like the way that it's working out right now, which is I find ironic, right? Because the way our system of government is, it's like these guys and these regulators and stuff like that, they're all untouchable, right? They're like in this far away land, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, right? They're all the way in this land, dude. All of them, all of them, they're in cahoots, just living in this echo chamber, making all these rules that affects people's lives, that affects businesses, and it doesn't affect them, right? Because they live in Camelot, right? They're in their own little kingdom, and they sit in their kingdom up on high, like they're on Mount Olympus, just passing stuff down to the rest of us, right? And that's bad. So hopefully, some of you gamers are waking up to that. This is another great thing about AKBD, right? Is that a lot of you guys are beginning to realize, right, that the government is not your friend. If anything, the government is constantly being a hindrance, and in some aspects, they need to do that, right, on specific things that the government should be functioning on, right? That's one of the great thing about government largesse, right? You just not have nobody going in there, you know, off the cuff, just doing something stupid like launching a nuclear missile, right? There's fail safes. The largesse of the government itself is made that way, and that's why you need to limit it, right? Because it's not once it starts getting involved, just like politics and pop culture. Once all this stuff starts getting involved and touching every aspect of life, everything starts going to crap because that's not what they're made for. Which is obvious from AKB deal, right? From now you see CMA is not even a regulatory agency, right? They're like an independent. They're a regulatory agency, but they're independent, dude. They're not like the same our FTC is. This is why Microsoft's not worried too much about the FTC because they're going to take them to court because there's just as flabby as the CMA, but the CMA doesn't have that. They have that appeal that I think Microsoft's going to go through, and if it works out the way it's supposed to, Microsoft should win that appeal. I'm pretty confident that they will, and because I'm confident because I have no problem with Microsoft going to the nuclear option. I'm just basically going ahead making the purchase, and then it's like, sorry guys, your government said we can't. They didn't approve the deal, which means they won't be able to sell Call of Duty or anything like that. There's things they can do to do it, but I'm just saying off the top, right? And Microsoft, and then look, Microsoft won't be beholden, right, to any of that. And look, I don't want to see that happen, but I'm not opposed to that happen if it means Activision can be purchased by Microsoft. And in a way, yes, I'm being selfish because it affects me and it affects me in a good way, right? Because nobody talks about the stuff that how it affects Microsoft. Man, Microsoft is the one taking all the risks here. Microsoft could buy COD, and then something happens where the game just falls off, right? Or some people just don't play COD as much as they used to. I don't see that happening just because it hits its target goals and beyond sometimes, every year. I think they've had like one down year. And by what I mean by down year, they just didn't make the money that they normally make. They still make money, right? So it is a cash cow in that sense. But still, You never know what the future holds, right? This is another thing that pissed me off about the CMT or CMA. CMA sitting over there like, well, looking at this and this. I'm like, dude, do you have a crystal ball? Dude, because if you have a crystal ball, I'd use it to actually look at lottery numbers or stock options. That's what I would be using it for, not to look into the little minutia of businesses that you really should have no control over. Right? Because it's all speculation at the end of the day. Because they can say Microsoft could corner the market, they could also say, but I can also counter and say, yeah, but Microsoft might go bankrupt. They're dropping $70 billion, right? Because this thing, if it doesn't work out, man, if something happens, like maybe Microsoft gets sued, maybe there's disgruntled employees, right? Everything seems right now on the surface to be a certain way, but nobody knows for sure. But all I do know for sure is that Microsoft's the one taking all the risk, and if they're taking all the risk, they get all the rewards. This is why I don't like listening to people on Twitter sit there and goes, "Oh, Microsoft, why do they get to decide what's the percentage or all this kind of crap? Why do they get to decide where this stuff sits? Because they're buying it, right? They own it. That's their property. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys, if you have your own house, right, and then you buy your own groceries, I'm pretty sure you guys wouldn't want me to walk in there and just eat all the food in your refrigerator because I will. I could do that. I'm not small, but you know what I'm saying. You wouldn't like if somebody did that to you. It's the same principle. But because you guys just hate Microsoft, or worse, you guys hate Xbox, and you guys are absolutely psychotic. And again, I'll use the term toxic. Right? Again, that's why, man. I like this, man. I want Microsoft to go scorched earth. I want Sony out of this industry. I want them out of everything. But I'll take gaming for now. I want the PlayStation to die. There's nothing I see that the PlayStation is doing for the industry as a whole. I mean, they make money, but that's basically for them, right? They're stuck on stupid with these AAA title narratives that their fans run to, even though these games aren't making the money that they need to make to justify the cost of making these games, right? Like they said, what 200 million to make Kratos. That's not even counting the overhead of all the stuff as far as what they gotta market, right? And then how many of these copies? Because some people's like, well, if it sells 12 million copies, I'm like, dude, number one, I don't believe anything a Sony person tells me as far as numbers, dude. I don't think they have the user base that they say they have. I don't believe that the game sells money as much as they do on the front end. Maybe over time, right? When this thing is like 299, you know, I just don't believe it. And for good reason, man, because they lie. Because they're lying, they're evil. Anyway, I didn't mean for this video to go so long, but I kind of want to do these videos, guys, again, just to add content to my channel. Because the live stuff, like I said, it's done out of convenience and it's done as a hangout, dude. And that's just not going to change if I'm being honest with you. I'll try and get better on these videos and stuff like that. It's just me talking right now. It's a little bit late too, so I'm kind of talking bubbles. I'm gonna have to go to sleep because it's I got to work tomorrow. But yeah, I'll start bringing more of this content, man. I'll see if I can add some video and some other stuff in there. I think that'd be pretty cool. Because like I should have went on Twitter and just saved some of those stuff that people were saying because it was absolutely funny, right? And then I got to figure out how I can make this where I can actually scroll the article. But I probably have to buy some software and stuff like that, right? I don't know. I have to do a deep dive on that stuff, and I just don't have the time, guys. If I'm being perfectly honest, man, I got my kids. Things are popping off right now, and it's just a whole nother ballgame. All right, it's one thing like for a lot of you parents that are out there that might listen to this, dude. If you just had your baby, enjoy that time. This is probably one of the easier times. A lot of people told me like, oh, you gotta feed them, do this, and this is simple. That's simple stuff. Once they get older, man, because when they get older, they get more expensive, right? And then there's some stuff that you gotta do, man. Like for my daughter with her scholarships and all that kind of stuff, dude, it's crazy. Hey, but you gotta do it, man. You know what I mean? So that's why I'll try and get better with this stuff. But there's things in my life that has to take precedent. I'll do the deep dive. I'll see, and then if I decide to do it, I'll do it. If not, But I do appreciate all the support, man. I did pick up a lot of subscribers, and I know why, dude. I mean, I appreciate you guys coming on there, but just like myself, dude, I'm just like you guys. You can't find any content out there where people will talk to you straightforward, right? And then of course with the way I do videos and my production value, and of course just the type of way I do these videos, man. I'm not as entertaining as the other guys, dude, but I'll try and be as honest as possible, right? Because some people like to listen to other people for specific reasons, but unfortunately, when these people go crazy or they get nuts or they just have like Xbox derangement syndrome and stuff like that, dude, and you can't watch them anymore. So you end up going out there and looking for people. Like I said, I know how you feel because I'm doing the same thing. Like I said, my circle is very small. Now my circle is pretty much non-existent because there's some Xbox guys I was following. But as soon as I see them, dude, go down that route, right? And it tends to happen when they're channel starts to grow, it's like you can tell they're more conscious of what they're saying instead of just speaking their mind. And for me, I'm never going to be like that. I'll always speak my mind on this channel. I mean, this is the reason why I have this. It's not to make money or to be famous. It's just a vent, man. It's basically my digital diary, just speaking on these things that I care about. I mean, and if I'm honest with you guys, dude, this isn't even one of the most major things. Um, I feel that that's going on in the world today. But it is a good distraction, right? It's something that I am passionate about because it's more than just a hobby for me, man. It's a lifestyle. And so I can, I actually have fun doing this, man. For other stuff that I'm into, stuff that's actually more important in life, right? As far as the economy, as far as politics, right? I actually might do a channel specifically talking about those kind of things, or I might incorporate it a little bit more. I'm going to bring in the all-in cast. I'm going to bring that back. I'll probably alternate between that and the Wrecking Crew. The Wrecking Crew will be like the most important podcast, but I want to do the all-in cast because I want to cover a lot of stuff. Like I said, Dea and Realist had a really good conversation about anime. They had a really good conversation about well, I mean, I had brought up Korean drama, but yeah, we started talking about Korean drama as well. There's just so much content out there, man, and that's another thing too, dude. That's another thing nobody talks about that Microsoft is dealing with, right? And Netflix has acknowledged that as well, right? That's why I hope Microsoft buys Netflix. That would be great. But their competition with each other because it's all about the screen time as well, keeping that audience engaged and on your ecosystem or on your streaming service or on your product, for lack of a better word. And if you look at I always talk about Netflix and Game Pass all the time because they correlate with each other, right? Which you see what they're doing. Different mediums, definitely. And some people that participate, they tend to. There's a little bit of difference in where they consume that entertainment, but at its core, right, it's basically the same thing, right? You want that captive audience, and Netflix has proven, right? This is why even though they get boycotted and of which they deserve a lot of times. I mean, some of the times they deserve it. There's some stuff they do I don't agree with at all. I've actually, thought about dropping the subscription, but then I can't say that was on principle too. It's just that I didn't really have anything. If it wasn't for Korean dramas, dude, I probably would have dropped my Netflix. And then of course Netflix course corrected with all the woke crap they were doing, right? They course corrected from that, and they basically started focusing on what they're supposed to be focused on, is providing entertainment across the board for a lot of different people, right? But don't pick sides, right? Don't definitely don't push it. Don't push an agenda. When you mess up, cuties, when you mess up on something like that, right? You have to be honest about it, right? You have to come full circle and say, hey, look, dude, we messed up, right? They didn't do that, and that's why they took that hit. It did hurt them in the stock a little bit, but they just have so many subscribers, right? They had to just make a few course corrections and stuff like that, which they did, and they did it in the right way, in my opinion. So that's why I've kind of stuck with them. Disney Plus is another one, right? They got to make some course corrections. And Microsoft, dude, Microsoft is to me right now, they are not even in their stride, right? They're just at the precipice of greatness, right? They continue to grow. They continue to do all the things that they need to do to make Game Pass a successful service. Actually, mind blowing to me that they've been able to, they've been batting 500, over 500 for the last 5 years. And I'm not talking about some of the stuff that they do that people blow out of proportion. Like there's a lot of hate from Microsoft. Don't listen to anybody, dude. If they don't have an Xbox, if they don't have Game Pass, if they don't subscribe to the service, dude, if they don't play video games, that would help if they play video games. But especially, and then on the pony side, never listen to a pony. Man. Those guys are delusional. There's no sense in listening to them, right? Because Microsoft can do no right. And then you have enough people on the Xbox side, dude. If Microsoft messes up, they'll say something, dude. We don't need help from the media. We don't need hate from the ponies, man. We have people in our own community that can do that. In fact, that's the only thing bad about it. That's one of the bad things about our community is because we have people that do it too much, right? For whatever reasons they decide to do it, man. Like the 60 frames per second thing, right? If you were not happy about that, I could totally understand, right? When you start doing it for more than 4 or 5 days, it gets a bit tiring. Then you start doing videos about how you're going to sell your Xbox, right? And then you start doing these deep dives and stuff, and you're getting the information from the gaming media, which is not trustworthy. Or then or then maybe you hang around ponies, man, and you can't handle the heat, right? And then you start flip flopping, right? And I'm never for that, dude. I'll call you out on that. I mean, that's why we have the term pony bots, right? That's hat tip to Mr. 100. I believe that was him and his crew that came up with that. and it fits perfectly, man, because you have these people on the Xbox side, dude. They're just not Xbox. They're not Xbox. So don't listen to them either, man. Pick and choose who you listen to. Do the best thing you can do is just do your own research and just have your own experiences, regardless of what people say. If I would have listened to people for half the stuff that I like, I wouldn't even have hobby, right? Whether it's be movies, games I play, comic books I've read, right? All of that stuff, dude. Just because only you know what you like. And not everybody's the same. Not everybody's gonna like the same stuff, dude. There's some stuff that I love that I thought people would love and they didn't like it. On a large scale, man. And then I looked at me and I'm like, dude, I'm one of the few people that like this stuff. Right? Most of this stuff in pop culture is niche, man. And this looks like it's coming full circle and we need to get back to that. But then again, shout out to again Microsoft Brad Smith, man. I really appreciate it. It'll be interesting to see because the final outcome of what was going on with this was that the UK government responded, which they needed to, right? Because like I said, they had a big event touting Great Britain as this is going to be this mecca for corporate entities, especially in the tech field, that they're going to, that they can bring their business there. The UK basically is open for business. And on the one end, you have that going on, and then on the flip side, you have the CMA making this stupid and ridiculous decision to try and block this deal, which they really have no right doing. And then hat tip to my boy Heba, man. Heba, I caught your video, dude. Excellent points. Excellent points of view. I know he discussed a little bit on the podcast we did last night. You know, Heba, dude, he'll bring that, dude. Especially when he's on fire, dude, he'll just bring it. But if you guys haven't seen Heba's latest video, dude, he has a perspective on the AKB deal that I've heard other people talk about it. I have that perspective as well, but I didn't think about it in the way that he has. I was kind of stuck on other stuff as well when it came to the AKB deal. Basically, I was just trolling and having fun on Twitter, but he was bringing like this perspective. His perspective was amazing. It made me sit there. I was like working out. I'm trying to get my old man body, dude, trying to get my stretching on and all that kind of stuff. And then he was like, dude, he made me pause, dude. I lost count, dude. It's just like I have to finish this. You have to do this. I have to do this program where it's like lightweight, right? So you don't overload, but I got to be flexible, right? I have joint pain and stuff like that. And so, dude, it actually like kind of made me stop and think, and then I lost myself in what he was saying. He had some great points, man, and like the ramifications, right, of what can happen with this deal that's beyond Microsoft. Like for me, I've been focusing on the scorched earth thing. His is kind of scorched earth kind of thing, but a different. He's coming in from a different angle. Dude, definitely go check out the video. Dude. I'm not gonna spoil it for you guys. Go check it out, man. Support my man. Support my boy, dude. This dude has been rocking Xbox for as long as I can remember. He bought old school, man. I mean, he has that knowledge base, right? Those KSAs, dude. He can tell you a lot. Whatever you need to know, he can tell you, and he can do it from any type, dude. Just if you haven't heard his video, man, definitely go check it out. Sorry, guys, I'm kind of rumbling right now because I am tired. Dude, that sleepiness is trying to hit me right now. I can feel it. But anyway, man, Xbox on the channel. Oh, okay. Well, we did an hour today, man. Like I said, the other videos. This is kind of like a podcast, right? I just wanted to talk a little bit, get my talking points out there and stuff like that. But for future reference, man. Again, just a reminder, we're gonna have um, the Wrecking Crew podcast tomorrow, Friday, at its regular scheduled time. Planning on doing the All In Cast or All In Popcast. We're going to do a pop culture cast, and that's going to alternate between. So one week I'll do Wrecking Crew podcast, then the next week I'll do the All In Popcast. I might not do that all the time, right? But that one will be opposite. It will never be in the same week, unless something huge happens. It shouldn't be in the same week as the actual All In podcast. I mean, the Wrecking Crew podcast. Because the Wrecking Crew podcast will continue to be specifically an Xbox podcast and video games. Okay, that's the way I'm going to keep it. But yeah, so we have that going on, and just moving forward. Like I said, I'll try and do a little bit more consistency with these type of videos. And I'm kind of glad I did this because I just want to pop something up, man. Because the video I have up there is just sitting up there for the longest time. Anyway, man, in the comment section, let me know what you guys think. Either pro or con, doesn't matter to me, man. Like, dislike, doesn't matter to me. But hopefully you guys enjoy this talking points, man. Especially if you're on the Xbox side, because this is the stuff that we need to be focusing on, man. This is the stuff we need to support that Microsoft is doing, man. They're actually stepping up and starting to put their foot down, which they should have done in my opinion, a couple years ago. But I'll take it better late than never, as they say. And if you haven't had a chance to watch his video, definitely go watch Brad Smith's video. He was being interviewed, I believe, on BBC Morning is the name of the show. But if you do a YouTube search, man, you'll see it, dude. And he just laid it out perfectly. And basically, that it was like, like I said, the title here, "Shots Fired," man. It was a volley across the bow, letting these guys know, look, dude, we need to really look at this, man, because we're not gonna. They want this deal to go through, right? And in the beginning, I know it's like to help. They have all of that. They want to help the company. They want to make Activision help make them successful. Make Game Pass more, add more content, man, making more, giving more variety for everything they do, altruistic and stuff like that. But they need to. You can see Microsoft, man, looking at, because, like I said, like the way they think, dude, right? This is not them putting their foot down just to stick a finger in somebody's eye, man. This is them doing because they feel like this deal. Look, dude. Again, passive aggressive, man. Microsoft looks at this as like you're stopping them from being the white knight, right? Because they want to save Activision. They want to help these guys unionize. They want them to be happy, right? They want no sexual harassment and all that kind of stuff, right? And it's just like anybody dude. And it's usually on the left, dude. I'm just gonna be honest, right? It's usually the liberal side, dude. If you want to get these people pissed off, dude, just go against Earth Day, or maybe you make an alphabet joke, right? Like a la Dave Chappelle, right? And these dudes will rise to the occasion, right? And so, hey, we'll see how this goes, man. All I know is right now, dude, this is better than most stuff that's on Disney Plus. This is more entertaining than the stuff that's coming out of Marvel, right? Oh my gosh. Anyway, I'm going before I get any more trouble. All right, guys, Xbox All In channel. If you watched the video, thank you, man. Again, comment on what you feel below. But Xbox All In channel, host Sega forever. We out.